This time on Low Boost, we're talking about the new C8Z06. Alright, the wait is over, and Chevrolet finally revealed the new C8Z06, and to be honest, I was a little shocked by those numbers. How much? How damn. I was absolutely blown away by the figures that they put out when they released this new car. As you might not know, I made a video not too long ago with my expectations and estimations on what the actual car was going to have in terms of performance.
I do know that some people are actually not going to like this engine because they think that Chevrolet is trying to sound like a Ferrari, but hear me out here. The Ferrari sounds amazing, and this engine sounds absolutely amazing. And the difference though is, a lot of Ferrari purists don't like when you do this to a Ferrari. But guess what? Straight piping stuff is just, that's what America does, okay? This car, when we get our hands on it and straight pipe the snot out of it, it's gonna sound amazing. And there's not gonna be any Ferrari enthusiasts that are gonna tell you you shouldn't be doing that. This is America.
Obviously, we're looking at the similar engine to the C8R, flat plane crank V8, 5.5 liters, and my guess was it would make a little bit north of 600 horsepower at the crank, and I was off. I was a little off. I was off by more than I thought I would be, and I figured I would have overshot, but I didn't. I undershot a lot. The new C8Z06 with its 5.5 liter dual overhead cam flat plane crank V8 makes 670 horsepower. That is an astronomical number. That is a number we've never seen out of any naturally aspirated car in history. I'm going to say that again. We have never seen a 670 horsepower naturally aspirated production car in history. This is a first. This is the best. This is the biggest. Nothing has come close. 562 horsepower was the 458 Italia's horsepower output, and this is over 100 horsepower more. It's crazy. 670 horsepower in a mid-engine car like this takes the C8Z06 into an entirely new level, which not only is it going to be competing with some of the fastest cars in its segment, it's going to be competing with some of the fastest and most powerful supercars that have ever been built, including things like the 911 GT2 RS, the Ferrari 488 Pista, the McLaren 720. All of those cars that have been the gold standard for supercars is actually going to be put to the test against this C8Z06, and I think the Z06 is going to give them all a run for its money. Now, full disclosure, the fit and finish on some of those cars, especially like the 488, and if you're buying a Ferrari, you're buying a Ferrari. But when you're talking about terms of bang for your buck, this might be one of the fastest production cars ever built in terms of straight line performance and handling, and it's going to be like a third or a quarter of the price of some of those cars. They're estimating that the rumor is that this is going to start around $90,000 and probably between $115,000 and $120,000 all maxed out. And that is going to be a considerable performance bargain, because there is nothing else even close to the performance that this car is going to have for even half of that money. Part of the reason that Chevrolet was able to do this was because they put a flat plane crank in a V8. You're significantly cutting down on the rotating mass of the crankshaft, so you can actually spin it a lot higher than the older small block Chevys with a cross plane crank V8. On top of that, these are sodium filled valves with dual cone valve springs and titanium connecting rods. They also built these engines, and they will be built completely by hand with extremely tight tolerances. So this engine is going to be built better than any engine that GM has probably ever made. And in my estimation, if someone does want to decide to throw a power adder to this, like a blower, this thing should be able to handle that all day long, because it's got titanium connecting rods. The dual overhead cam in this engine also allows it to spin up to extremely high RPM as well, because you're also able to move a whole lot more air because you have 4 valves per cylinder as opposed to small block Chevys which only had 2. So this redline's at an astonishing 8,500 RPM. Listen to the sound of this thing. All I'm gonna say is the cars that I've always thought were going to be the car that I want to get when the time comes that my wife actually lets me buy one of these things, like a 911 GT3 or a 458 Italia. When that day comes, I'm probably going to have to really consider not getting any of those at all and getting a C8Z06, because this car is out of this world. It looks amazing. It sits wider than the older ones were. It has 20-inch wheels in the front and 21 in the back, and they were able to make the tires even wider. So this does 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds. My guess is the quarter mile is going to be mid to low 10s at like 135 miles per hour. My guess, based on the performance numbers. We don't know actually what the car is going to weigh, if it weighs more or less than the base model Corvette. And the Z07 package not only comes with better suspension and aerodynamics, but it has fully carbon fiber wheels, which you save gobs of unsprung weight by getting the Z07 package, which also comes with carbon ceramic brakes. That is going to be the true track-tested car that they're going to test on the Nurburgring. Now, the C7Z06 did the Nurburgring best time at the Nurburgring was 7 minutes and 13 seconds. The C7Z01 was 7 minutes and 4 seconds. My guess, and you guys can quote me on this car is going to do sub 6 minute and 50-second lap times around the Nurburgring. That's my guess. The base C8 Corvette was 7 minutes and 24 seconds, 25 seconds, I think. But this not only is considerably faster, but it has lower rotational weight, better brakes. I think this thing is going to be sub 7 minutes at least at the Nurburgring, and it can compete. And if it is sub 7 minutes around the Nurburgring, it will be easily one of the top 5 fastest production cars ever to go around the Nurburgring, which is great for Chevrolet. If you guys are into this kind of stuff, consider subscribing. I put out a video every week about cars, whether it's about cars that are coming out, my E36 Turbo LS swap, which if you want t-shirts, I got them. I'll put a link to them in the description below. This is a Corvette engine, kind of LQ4 6-liter with a turbo on it that I swapped into an E36. I also have a C5 Corvette myself, Porsche 911, 996, bunch of other cars. So if you're into that kind of stuff, consider subscribing. Also, hit that like button. I know everybody says it on YouTube, but it actually does help. It lets YouTube know that other people should be watching this video as well. So make sure you guys hit that like button. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.